The assignment for MD2 sketching for multi-view sketches. We'll start here with MD2-1. Like I've told you before, each of these blocks can be assumed or presumed to be created from these individual cubes here. I've kind of shown them separating it, breaking it down into the individual cubes, and the only reason for that is just for estimating purposes of size. In this case, the width being 2 blocks wide, the height being 2 blocks wide, and then of course the depth being 4 blocks deep. I've also explained to you that per each of these, to go ahead and assign this left face or this left view as your front view. And I've colored those surfaces that I'll see in with red. Likewise, this will be the top and this will be the right side, and that's what you're drawing, the front, top, and the right side. Again, multi-views. Very quickly, we're going to see one or more views that are drawn flat, flat being my word, okay, which means each view you are going to see only 2 dimensions. Then they are arranged properly and properly aligned, and every feature is identified in every view as well. Every feature, every corner, every edge will project from one view to another, and those projection lines will be horizontal or vertical. Of course, to project from right to top or likewise or vice versa, we will have to have that miter line, so it will project horizontally, hit that miter line, and bend or bounce, ricochet, whatever you want to say, and then go down to the depth. So let's get started. Like I said, if we break this down, I know I have 2 blocks wide, 2 blocks tall or height, and then 4 blocks in depth. And I'll transfer that to my sketches. Now, this is just a sketch, however, it is being turned in, so I want it to look relatively decent. So I'm just going to go ahead and ballpark. This is just a piece of scratch paper, one that's going to be discarded. I'm not worrying about. I'm not going to turn it in. And I'll ballpark this size. Well, the front view is going to be somewhere here, and I know it is 2 by 2. Now, I mentioned in the assignment, just to make things simple so you don't have to guess and change it over and over, do for a single block, and I'll just do it over here somewhere, one cube, one little cube. I'm going to make it 2 squares by 2 squares. So I'll consider that to be, for example, the same size as 1 cube, or the face of 1 cube. So front view, I know it's going to look somewhat L-shaped, so that'll be 2 cubes. So I'll go over 4 squares, and I'll just maybe ballpark it here. Again, this is just a sketch. And there's that other. Now, this is not ultimately the way I would want to draw it. I do not want to draw the individual cubes. I'm just doing this so you kind of understand where it is I'm going with this. And then, of course, that other one up here, this being the front face, I do not want it to be turned in this way. And then I'll come over, I'll come up a little bit. I think I mentioned about 4 squares-ish. So here's 1 block deep, 2 blocks deep, 3 blocks deep, 4 blocks deep. I do know it's aligned. So again, this is just a super quick sketch of where I'm going to be, basically how much room I need. 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks deep. So this is about what it would look like on my paper. Now, on the actual assignment, I've explained very detailed exactly what I want it to look like. Your name and date printed up in the top right. Title, MD2. In this case, I also added multi-views, and then starting with the first sketch. Now, if I were to place this on here, you can see that I can pretty much fit this on here and use only half the paper. So I'll probably start it about here. And I think I'm going down to about here. So this will be my starting point. And this I'm going to be a little bit neater. So basically I'm redrawing this. Again, do not separate the individual blocks, but I know that's about 2 by 2. There's that L shape. Then of course I still have this face up in the corner, but it is going to be right here. So that is my front view. Okay, and I'll come up, you know what, I'm only going to come up 3 blocks, but I'm still aligned. This left edge must be perfectly aligned. This right edge must be perfectly aligned. So this front edge, which is this entire surface, so therefore that one line identifies an edge, but it also identifies the entire front face, front surface of this block. And then I'm going to come back a certain distance here and here. Additionally, this line identifies a surface or an edge. This one right here. So looking down on it, I'm going to see this edge. So I know this projecting upwards is going to come back so far as well. I'm going to leave that there for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and maybe start the right side view. Not that I have to at this time, but it might help me a little bit just to kind of see. And again, in this case, I'll come over about 4 squares. I think I have more room. And this edge here, again, this front surface, I'm going to see on the right side. That front surface, actually from the right side, is going to look like just a line, similar to the top surface. So I'll come over here and start about here. Why am I starting here? Because that bottom must align. The bottom of the right side view must align with the bottom of the front view. And it's going to come up so far. And how far back does it go? Well, again, this is the depth, the right side. This is the depth, and I say it's 4 cubes wide, or sorry, 4 cubes deep. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a real small mark is all you have to do. And that just lets me know that's as far as I'm going on the right side view for the depth. I have width, height, and depth. Top view, I have the width, and I'll also have the depth here. And then on the right side view, additionally, I have the height. So I do know this right side view. Again, this edge has to align with something. So this is the height of my block. But this is as deep as it goes. So this is that that back surface here. That's as far as it goes. I'm going to go ahead and create the miter line, and you're instructed to do this. That miter line is not something you throw in later. That miter line is something that you use to help you draw from one view to the next, to be able to project from the top to the right, or from the right to the top. And that miter line starts where the front surfaces are shown or identified on both the top and the right view. So what I mean by that is I'm going to project over. I'm going to do some very slight lines here. I'm going to be careful not to touch my drawing with my projection lines. And this right side view is going to come up, and where they meet right here is where that miter line is going to begin. That miter line is going to be a 45-degree line. So I go from corner to corner, and I'll just go there because that's farther than what I need to for my right side view. Okay. Now, I'll finish my right side view. I know this surface, this entire surface, goes from the bottom to the top. So this surface is going to look like a continuous line here. Okay? Even though that is pushed back from the right side view, I still see that surface from the top to the bottom. And technically, even though I see somewhat of a reverse L, I still see this overall rectangle. So again, on the right side view, I'll do what I think is to finish that. This surface here, I will see this edge. That surface, just like this surface, on the right side view will look like a vertical line. Now where is it? Well, I said it goes from the front, pushed towards the back, 2 cubes. In that case, that's 2 squares per cube. So here, 1, 2. Additionally, this projects to here. So again, I go 1, 2, and that's as far back as it goes. And here, this vertical line identifies this vertical edge, but that vertical line also identifies the entire surface here that is pushed towards the back, 2 cubes. Now, each of these, instead of counting and trying to draw the top from scratch, I know these left and right edges or sides will continue all the way to the back. Instead of remeasuring, which I could do, instead of counting, which I could do, I'm going to use this miter line to help me. This front projected up and projected over to say front projects to front. That's good. So now the back would project up as well. Where it hits this miter line is where it bends or turns from vertical to horizontal. And again, I'm just kind of hit and miss so that these aren't taking up all kinds of attention or demanding attention, because they're not as important, but they're still useful. So from the back of the right side view, I project vertically, hit the miter line, and I project horizontally, telling me that in the top view, that back edge, that back surface is there. It must be. If I were to draw it anywhere else, it would be wrong. Okay, so now I know how far back this line, I know that it goes from the front all the way to the back. So I will draw that front to back. And then this right side face, even though it's got this notch out of it, this right side face looking down from the top will still look like a continuous line. So this line will go all the way to the back. I am still aligned with the front view. I'm alignment front to right side. Now this one, again, I can count. This is a simple enough problem. I can count and or measure with no problem. But to double check to make sure, I can also verify that I properly project, or that alignment, vertically, hit the miter line, and then this is where I'm going to be. And if I want to double check, I could just simply count 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 2 squares being a cube, 2 squares being the second cube. Same thing here, 4 squares, 2 cubes deep, whichever it may be. This is pretty much done. So front, top, right side, front, top, right side. Now if I were using pencil, and I apologize, the only reason I'm not using pencil is because I want it to show up on this video a little bit better than what it could. But if need be, use a different color, use a pencil. Just make sure that these lines here stand out and clearly identify themselves better than any of your projection lines. If you have hidden lines, make sure the object lines, visible lines of the object, make sure they stand out in greater detail, a little bit more power, demanding your attention than what the projection, hidden lines, center lines, whatever might be. I hope that's clarifies some for some of you. I hope if you do have any questions, make sure you ask. Thank you.